A farmer, Thomas, tosses fruit to a crowd of hungry school children. One rolls into the ground and a child cries out. "Hey, that's ours!" yells another, reaching for the fruit. Thomas stands still. He could turn and leave, take the fruit for himself, or give more. Instead, Thomas smiles kindly and stoops down. "Take it, there's enough for all." His name is Thomas, a poor farmer, sun-weathered, hands rough from years of dirt. He doesn't own much but harvests more than enough to sustain himself and his small family. Most view him as plain, ordinary, but to the children, he is gentle, nearly magical. Down the field, a wealthy landowner observes. His mansion sits in the distance, walls high and unyielding. He scowls, unmoved. "Why spoil your harvest on beggars' children?" he grumbles. Generosity to him is weakness. To Thomas, it is life. The children cluster around Thomas, giggling, faces sticky with juice. "Thank you, sir," they chant. Thomas smiles, distributing more fruit. He does not mind the giggles of their peers or the disapproving stare of the wealthy man. He is here to give, not to observe. One little boy, no more than 7, remains behind. Wide eyes, shaking hands as he takes a plum. "Here," Thomas says quietly, putting another in his hand. The boy stares up at him, shocked, and murmurs, "Thank you, sir." Years from now, the boy would recall this moment. The wealthy landowner shrugs and leaves in his new car. He has no idea what Thomas is doing. Life, to him, is taking, not giving. But Thomas remembers a simple fact. Kindness planted today can give rise to hope tomorrow. Years go by. Thomas tills the same fields, planting, nurturing, reaping. He endures droughts, insects, storms. One year, a novel blight ravages his orchard. Leaves wither, fruits turn to mush, crops perish. Thomas stands in dismay, hands on his knees, heart plummeting. His living, the product of his sweat and dreams, is vanishing before him. And then a knock on the door. He opens it to see a young man in a sharp suit, with a briefcase clutched in his hand, eyes shining with recognition. "Thomas?" the man queries. "Yes," Thomas says warily. "I am David," the young man states. "I was one of the kids you gave fruit to years ago." Thomas blinks. He doesn't immediately recognize him. David smiles, displaying a folder. "I became a scientist because of that day, because of your generosity." Thomas's heart races. He sees the similarity between the boy and the man now standing before him. You remember?" he whispers. "I never forgot," David says. "I majored in plant sciences, genetics, soil management. I wanted to do my part, assist farmers such as yourself." He unfolds the folder. Charts, research, solutions. "The blight on your trees, there's a cure. I can salvage your orchard." Thomas gulps. "You'd do that for me?" David nods. "Because you once did for me." The moral challenge is evident. Years before, Thomas's act of kindness had been a small gesture, unnoticed by most. Now that same generosity has returned, in great abundance. It is a reminder that the things one does, no matter how small, have repercussions beyond comprehension. David toils in the fields every day with Thomas, putting his studies into practice. They treat the soil, cut out diseased branches, and sow natural guards to keep the crops safe. Neighbors visit, observing the miracle happen. The same children who once played in Thomas S. orchard now gape in awe at the recovered trees and fruit-laden branches. Thomas sits under a tree, hands stained with dirt, watching David check the plants. "I never imagined this," Thomas murmurs. "You saved my crops," he adds. "No," David says softly. "You saved me first." Years of gratitude and unspoken respect flow between them. The neighborhood comes together to celebrate the harvest again. Tables are filled with vegetables and fruits. Children play and frolic in the orchard. Neighbors exchange tales of survival and promise. And Thomas, who was once underestimated and overlooked, is now proud. His humility is still intact, but is now accompanied by recognition. The wealthy landowner comes by, looking over the fence, amazed at the flourishing orchard. He whispers to a friend, "Who would have thought, that simple farmer?" Thomas doesn't need to respond. The work speaks for itself. David kneels beside Thomas. "Your actions shaped my life," he says, "and now, together, we've saved yours." Thomas smiles, feeling the weight of decades lift from his shoulders. He remembers that first day, tossing fruit to hungry children. He remembers seeing the hope in their eyes. And now hope has come back to him, flowering beyond anything he might have dreamed. The harvest is rich. Families come together. Children get to taste the products of work and science entwined. Thomas strolls among the trees, stroking the limbs, breathing in the sweet, ripe scent. He sees the truth he knew but never expressed. Kindness, like seeds, takes root in ways you cannot predict. David stares at him, pride in his eyes. "You had faith in giving, even when no one else saw," he says, "and that faith changed everything." Thomas nods, tears shining. "Sometimes all it takes is one act of kindness," he whispers. The wealthy landowner shakes his head once again, this time humbled. He sees the strength of compassion, the power of human empathy, and the gift of acts of selflessness. From humble fruit to children, to the life-saving science applied to a dying orchard, Thomas shows that there is more to wealth than money or property, but the bravery to give without ever expecting anything back. And the lesson of the tale? Never discount the ripple effects of small acts of generosity. The smallest acts can turn into miracles that alter lives, sometimes decades later, in ways you cannot even dream about.